You are now listening to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. Coach L3.
Hi, welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where I am your host, Leslie Latimore-Lorfils, affectionately known as Coach L3. As a mother of 12, who has also served as a senior military officer for nearly 3 decades alongside my husband, I can certainly understand and appreciate who I call the 3C sisters: crazy, chaos, and confusion. If you are an executive level mom, mompreneur, or lady leader who perhaps still struggles with burnout, you have come to the right place where you can receive strategies and tips on how to pivot with poise and conquer the noise. I invite you to take this journey with us to increase your clarity, your confidence, and to conquer the overwhelm. Hope to see you there.
Coach L3.
Hey girl, hey, welcome back to season 2 of the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where I am your host, Coach L3. So glad to have you all back. Wow, what a treat. And it was just such an honor and such a pleasure to launch season 1. And I'm so excited to be back for season 2. We are going to dive deep into some more goodness to help serve you all and serve the community and serve you busy mamas and mompreneurs and lady leaders, all of you who are bosses. And for those of you that's seen the acronym BAWSE, that stands for Bad Audacious Woman or Women, either one interchangeably, serving with excellence. Because that is what you do. That's what we strive to do on a daily basis. And granted, sometimes we don't meet the mark or we feel like we don't, but that's what we do. That's who we are. We are bosses. And that's what we're here for. And so in season 2, we're going to start off with a very powerful episode where we're going to talk about advanced work-life integration. What does that mean? We're going to talk about some strategies on what that means. In season 1, we talked about mental health. We talked about setting boundaries. We talked about time management, which I normally like to refer to as self-management, because you really can't manage time, because time is time, right? We can't control the 24 hours. That's all we have. Not 23, not 25. But we do have control over how we manage ourselves to optimize the use of our time. That's just the Coach Leslie-ism, right? We talked about setting boundaries and what that means, and just a myriad of other things we talked about in season 1. And so in season 2, we're going to talk about what it means to take our work-life balance to the next level. What does that mean? And we're going to have other industry experts to come in and to drop their nuggets and knowledge on how to help us to do those things, right? And how to help us to pivot with poise despite the noise. That's our tagline here at Girl Organize That Life. We want to do that. We know that this world is fast and furious. We know that there's always something going on. There's always something that's pulling at us from every direction. So how do we keep up with it all? And many people ask me, for those listeners that may be new under the sound of my voice, just a little feedback, a little backdrop. If you haven't had a chance to hear about me or know about me and you just happen to pop onto this podcast, I'm a mother of 12, and I've been raising children while serving on active duty for nearly 3 decades alongside my husband. And so with those dynamics alone, people often ask me, how do you do it? How do you manage? How do you manage and keep your center? And so as a result of that, here I sit where I empower other high achieving executive level women, moms, mompreneurs, and lady leaders to do just that. And I have lady leaders in there because you may not necessarily be a mom, but you are still a boss, and you still have requirements, and you're still pulled in different directions, and you still need what we have to offer here at Girl Organize That Life. And this podcast is just a conduit to help you, and it's just another resource to help you to have some actionable strategies that you can use as you go about your daily lives. So, and that's what we're here to talk about. And also, I'm closing out my birthday month. I am an August baby. I am a Leo, so the Leo portion is over. We're now in Virgo season, but it is still the month of August. And today, on August 26, 2024, it happens to be Women's Equality Day. How cool is that, that we launched season 2 on Women's Equality Day? How fitting for the season, such a time as this, in the season that we're in, even in the world and with today's events. So it is my honor and my pleasure to be sitting before you today. So those are the things we're going to talk about. I want us to get into what it means to balance our personal ambitions with our professional goals. What does that mean to you as women? How can we align those things together where we create harmony instead of those things competing with each other? One way that I've done it, and anyone that has had experience with me, and I'm going to re-summarize. For some of you, this may be new. For some of you, this may be a repeat, but either way, value, right? There's a tool that I use that's called the Eisenhower Matrix. And essentially it's a 4-quadrant tool that's set up to help you to prioritize your different things that you have to do. And one way that you can use it, you can use 2 different quadrants. One matrices rather, one matrix for your personal goals, one matrix for your professional goals. And then you look to how to marry those things. Because what we have to understand, it shouldn't be this or that. We are trying to figure out here in this container how to do this and that. But do it in such a way where you are not feeling like you are totally scatterbrained, that you are getting ready to lose your entire mind, that you are feeling overwhelmed and just overcome by events, that you feel like that you are the man with the hat with the 2 visors saying, which way do I go? That is why we're here, right? So how do we have a good symbiotic relationship between the things that are important, your family, your careers, your businesses, the other requirements that you have? And so that's one strategy, is using the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, I will say this because it's important for you all to know. I don't necessarily believe in the word balance per se, because I don't believe that as high achieving people, whether you're a man or a woman, that there's ever really going to be balance. I believe something's always going to be tipped more than the other, okay? But to help to achieve that equilibrium, you prioritize. I believe in good prioritization. And one thing I would say, when you are using the matrix, you kind of treat it as like an emergency physician. When you get to the emergency room, you have something that's called a triage, where they're triaging patients. You have something, a stoplight, red, yellow, green. Red, you stop, you wait. Yellow, slow it down to prepare to stop. And green, you're free to go. It's kind of how you need to look at your priorities in life as well, and how you're doing business. And when I do my master classes, I go deeper into the matrix, but I give you a high level review. So you have 4 quadrants. You have your urgent, you have your important but not urgent, you have your like your delete, you don't need to be doing it, and then you have your not urgent but important things that you can do or have someone else to do for you, your delegation quadrant. So you just figure out what those things are. And what I tell you, you make a list of everything that you have to do, right? You make a list of what you have to do, and then you prioritize those things as appropriate in your different quadrants. And I will tell you, it's doing 2 things. One, it's making you think about it. It's a forcing function. And number 2, it provides a visual map for you to see exactly what it is you need to be doing. Oftentimes, as high achieving people, sometimes we go from the dome. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but it may not be the most effective way to do business. So put the things down on some type of visual art, I like to call it. And I choose to use the Eisenhower Matrix, okay? So that's one thing that you can look at. Another thing that can help you in this regard is to not only use something that's visual, but also look at understanding what your why is. Why do you do the things that you do? Leading back to that bottom quadrant, should you really be doing the thing? Like when you look at your list, do I really need to scroll social media for 2 hours? Probably not. Maybe you need to only scroll for 15 minutes, get the highlights, get in, get out, and then use the other hour and 45 minutes to do something that's going to move your needle closer to your goal. I'm just making that up. I'm not saying anything is wrong with scrolling social media, but I'm using it as an example because you have to make sure that your why is important. Think about what it is that you're doing. Why are you doing it? Is it moving you closer to the goal that you're trying to accomplish? And let that be your driving force to what it is that you're doing. And here's the deal. I've said this before. You are not going to always be motivated in what you're doing, but you got to have discipline in what you're doing. I'm not always motivated to get up in the mornings. Anyone that knows me, I am not a morning person. But I have to be disciplined enough to get up in the morning because I need to accomplish certain things, right? So that's that. And then the next thing I want us to talk about is how do we then have sustainable routines so that we can have not just temporary success, but long-term success? How do we do that? How do we have routines so that we can promote like longevity and prevent burnout? And how do we, I like to call it sustainable productivity, right? One way to do that is to really pace yourself. You have to be very honest with yourself in terms of what your capacity is. Let me give an example. As an entrepreneur, you're on social media, you're looking at ads and things that may pop up in your timeline, and you're like, oh, it becomes a shiny object. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. But what you may not realize, doing this or that may not be within your capacity. So then what happens is you'll try to do the thing and you will exceed your capacity sooner than you're supposed to. And hear me what I'm telling you. Please lean in as I say this. When I say this, I'm telling you from a space, one, of experience, because I've done it. So I can relate to it and I completely understand it. But I'm also telling you because once you realize it and you recognize it, you identify it, you can then put in tools and things to help you to mitigate that. So you're not like, oh my gosh, I just bit off more than I can chew. A couple of things I want you to remember is that one, you cannot boil an ocean. And number two, you can't eat the whole elephant at once. Take small bites. Master the things initially. And once you master the things at this level, then you move to the next level. And I use social media because that is like the master place and container for comparison. We all do it. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. Can I be real with you? We have all done it. And it's not necessarily because you want to necessarily compare yourself to the next, to the left, to the right. It's just the innate thing that we do as human beings. But be careful of that and make sure that you look internally. Well, what are my gifts? What are my talents? What are my strengths? And that is where you need to put your focus. Bring you to the table. Bring your authenticity to the table. Because when you do that, number one, it's going to transcend and it's going to come across to the clients that you are called to serve. That's number one. Number two, then once you realize that you are in your zone of genius, because that's what it is ultimately, then you realize your correct clients are going to come to you. The correct people are going to be attracted to you. And then what is that going to do? That is going to then increase your motivation to continue with your why. Huh? So even sometimes when your discipline may be lacking, your motivation will increase because you're now in your zone of genius because you have shown up as your authentic selves. Is this helping anyone that's listening? I certainly hope so because it's helping me, as I tell you. How about that? So that's one way. That's one way. Just pace yourselves so that you can have long-term success, not temporary success. And that is going to reduce your burnout, and that's going to extend your ability to leave more impact for the masses. Another thing that can help you in this journey is to have like a weekly routine, right? To maintain your balance and your prioritization, and self-management, again, to optimize the use of your time. Self-care practices. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are not whole, if you are not healthy, if you are not rested, if you are not well fed, anything that you do is not going to be at its best. And when you're in a position where you're wanting to serve people, to include even yourself, your family, your job, your church, your team members, if you're a coach or whatever, maybe coaching football, or if you're coaching clients, or whatever capacity that you're serving, you are not going to be able to give your best if you are not at your best. Okay. So that the self-care is critical. I'm not going to get deep into practices because that's a whole nother episode, but just make sure you have that. And again, as we talked about even in season 1, and I'm re-emphasizing right now, setting healthy boundaries. These things that you got to really dig and be laser focused in doing to take all of this to the next level, which is what we're doing here in season 2. We're going to the next level. And this opener, this is just kind of recalibrating, recentering, and reminding us as to why we're here. Now, a few things I want to share. I have a couple of quotes that I want to share from some folks that I thought was so good. Listen to quote number 1. Remember that work and life coexist. Wellness at work follows you at home, and vice versa. By Melissa Stinginess. I'm going to say it again. Remember that work and life coexist. Wellness at work follows you home, and vice versa. Be well at work, be well at home. If you're well at work, you'll be well at home. If you're well at home, you will be well at work. And you see how that is a symbiotic relationship. And in between there, wellness. That speaks to self-care practices. That speaks to getting sleep. That speaks to taking care of you. That speaks to filling up your cup. And not only do we need to fill up our cups, the cups then need to overflow. Because like Lisa Nichols, one of my favorite people in the world, told me one time, because I asked her the question, how does she do it? How does she pour into us the way she does? She said to me, and I quote, because I fill my cup up first, and I give it to you for my overflow. That was the most brilliant thing ever. And when I tell you, that statement has stuck with me. So I'm not filling you from my cup. No, because I need my cup. I'm filling to you, I'm pouring into you from Leslie's overflow, from Coach L3's overflow, so that my cup remains full. Is this helping? So glad it is. I'm so glad. The next quote I want to share with you. Self-care is fundamentally about bringing balance back, listen to this, to a life that has been grown imbalanced from too many commitments or responsibilities. I stepped on my own toes when I read that, and that is by Robin L. Gobbin. I'm going to read it again. Self-care is fundamentally about bringing balance back to a life that has grown imbalanced from too many commitments and responsibilities. What does that mean? What does that mean? The reason why I'm chuckling, because I'm talking to myself too. Listen, that means, dear ones, give yourselves unquestionable permission to say no. Give yourselves permission to say, not now. Give yourselves permission to say, okay, let me help someone who has a hard time with the word no. That happens to be a very complete sentence. Hi, sis. You know what? I would love to do that for you. But right now, I really need to focus on this over here. But when I am able, I will circle back with you to see if I can still help you with what you need. And you didn't necessarily say no. You just said not now, maybe later. So that help if that I hope that helps you. But what did you do? You didn't necessarily turn your friend down or your sis down, but you saved and you held a place for yourself so that you can show up for your sister in the best way possible. That's what we tend to do. We tend to say yes, 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 yes. And then we look and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so depleted. I'm so tired. I'm so worn out. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm everything to everybody, and I can't seem to find my center. Because we have not learned how to say no. We have not learned how to say, I have too many commitments. I have overbooked myself. I need to turn some things down. I need to revisit my schedule that is just on overload. And here's the second part to that part. After you have recognized it and you said, oh, let me pull back, be okay with it. Is this helping? Be okay with it. Lose the guilt of saying no. You busy mamas, you busy mompreneurs, you busy lady leaders that's bossing up. That's part of your boss up, being able to say no. That's part of your boss up, being able to recognize when your capacity has been reached. And listen, just like, what is it? I think it's ice is probably a good example. When you put ice, you first put it in the container. You put water in there, and you put it in the container, and you put it in the freezer. And you don't fill it up all the way, because when you put it in the freezer, the ice is going to expand a little, right? So don't wait. Don't fill your capacity all the way up. Leave some room for some expansion. Because your capacity, you may think is here, but really it should be here. Because by the time you do this down here, it's going to stretch your capacity more. But if you've already filled your capacity up, you have nowhere to go, and you're going to be like a ticking time bomb. And guess what? Let me tell you what that turns into, my ones. This is so good. It's going to turn into an irritable mom, an irritable mompreneur who's not going to be able to think and focus on her business, or the irritable mom that's going to snap at her child, or the irritable lady leader that's not going to be able to boss up properly at her job. Is this helping? These are just some strategies, okay? So that's so good. I hope you all heard those quotes because they're juicy and it's going to help you. Now, one thing I would like to offer, and this is kind of like a faith-based reflection because I am a woman of faith, and that's how I like to lead. And this is not to, this is not to pour any of my beliefs on anyone. I'm just telling you where Coach L3 is coming from. But I am a woman of faith, and I definitely believe that my faith carries me through a lot. And so if I can offer that sometimes when you're feeling like you're getting ready to just really boil over, pause for a moment and maybe say a prayer or do a meditation or put your hands on your chest like I'm doing right now and take a deep breath and breathe in and breathe out. When you breathe in, you're sending oxygen to your brain and you're calming yourself down and you're putting yourself back at a center. You're recentering yourself. And also when you take your breath, remember that's a gift. That's the gift of life that you give it, that you still have, that you're able to do that. And so remember to do that when you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to lose my mind. No, don't lose your mind. We need you to keep your mind, okay? I know that many times we walk around and we're like, oh my gosh, how can I? But I want you to make sure that you know that you can align your personal goals with your professional goals. It doesn't have to be an or this or that. it can be this and that. And you can do this and that in a way that's not going to have you on overload. So I encourage you to use these strategies that we just discussed to do that. And for some of you, this is a review, this is a recap, because in season 2, we're going to do a deeper dive with some of these things. We're going to revisit some things, and we're going to go deeper in some things, and we're going to explore some other areas. Okay. I want you to reflect on your own current work-life balance, your ability to prioritize. And I want you to identify one small change that you can make. And what I would love for you to do is to tag us at Girl Organize That Life. You can go to our socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and you can tag our podcast. Okay. One change that you can make and put it on our socials. Put your thoughts and your strategy that you feel like you can do, and get into the community and share. I would love to hear your thoughts, right? I want you to do that. We'll be coming back on the next episode with some more stuff, but please, I implore you ladies to make sure that you pour from your cup's overflow. It is so critically important that we do that. I definitely thank you all for listening in. I'm so excited that we're here for season 2. This is so exciting. You have no idea. And we're here on Women's Equality Day. How cool is that? And what a great way to close out my birthday month. I'm so grateful and I'm so humbled to have you all here with me, Coach L3, right? Thank you for tuning in for our season opener. Invite a friend. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, tell us how we're doing. If there are some topics that you'd like to hear or that you think can help you, share with us. It's not about us here. It's about you and what you need. It's about us giving you value and about us helping to catapult you to your next level. That is what we're here to do at Girl Organize That Life. I thank you for being here. I want you to tell other ambitious women that's in your lives to tune into us. Tune into us, to come out and to join us. And also, if you haven't heard, we have a live event that's coming up next month. That's our inaugural Get Going Girl Summit coming up September 13th and 14th, 2024. That is this year. Because I know by the time you listen to the podcast later, it may have passed, but I want to be specific. I invite you to come out and listen to some industry experts to give some of this knowledge in person. And we're going to have a dynamite male panel called the GQ panel that's going to come and share some of their insights from their lenses on how to help us to be even better as bosses. It's so important. So if you are around, please go to g3summit.live and get your ticket. We are a few weeks away and we are still selling tickets. Invest in yourselves. Come out and join us. It'll be held in Gaithersburg, Maryland during that time, and we would love for you to come. Invite a friend, invite a colleague, and we even have opening slots for young bosses between the ages of 18 and 22 years old. They have a special price point just for them. If you would like to sponsor a ticket for a young lady, do that. Go on the landing page, register, come out and join us. And I'm also releasing a book coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for that as well. It is called the Get Going Girl devotional and journal that is going to help you to edify your lives as well. So looking forward to all of these great things that's happening at Girl Organize That Life. But please subscribe to our podcast, tell a friend, have them to come out and listen to us. We're on every Monday, 8 p.m. We're on Apple. So that's iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and other areas. So come out and join us, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Meanwhile, don't forget to pivot with poise despite the noise. See you next time on our next episode. Bye now.
Coach L3.